Tyler Scorer gasped awake inside a frosted cryostasis pod, the last dying gasp of humanity's breath for vengeance, filling his reborn lungs with purpose. 500,000 years had passed since the pod door sealed shut, 500,000 years since the Andromedans burned Earth's continents to ash and slaughtered its people like vermin. But now the human inside stirred from an eon of cold sleep. The ship's plasteel walls hummed around Tyler as he ran to the command module, desperate for a status report after 500,000 years drifting through the void. Trillions of kilometers from home, he gazed upon a withered nebula, alone on the precipice between survival and extinction. A flashing console confirmed the worst. Most of the fleet's cryopods had failed. Humans were a dead species. But he still drew breath, and Tyler intended to make that breath the last sound the Andromedans would ever hear. Sensors showed the enemy's empire in ruins, their planets now desolate wastelands. Perfect. Tyler plotted a course for the nearest world that could sustain life, fangs bared. He would rebuild the human race from the ground up. He would remind the galaxy why his species had earned the fear of civilizations, and he would visit upon the Andromedans a vengeance 500,000 years in the making. Tyler's ship shuddered as it pierced the planet's atmosphere, the lush green landscape filling the view screen. Continents sprawled beneath wispy clouds, teeming with life that had flourished in humanity's absence. The ship settled onto a grassy plain, crushing foliage under its landing gear. Tyler emerged into the sunlight, shielding his eyes as he surveyed his new surroundings. He set out on foot, pushing through the dense undergrowth. Vines snagged at his boots. Strange bird calls echoed through the jungle canopy. As he crested a hill, an artificial structure glinted in the distance, out of place among the wilderness. Tyler quickened his pace, sweat dampening his collar as he neared the ruins. Walls of tarnished metal jutted from the earth, wrapped in creeping vines. The Andromedan outpost had long succumbed to the ravages of time. Tyler pried open a rusted door, the hinges screeching in protest. Inside, rubble littered the floor, shattered screens hung on the walls, but a soft hum emanated from the far corner. A terminal flickered to life as he brushed away the dust. His heart raced as he scanned through the files, centuries of Andromedan history unfolding before him, the fall of an empire, undone by its own cruelty, the fracturing of a civilization as it tore itself apart, and a map of their last surviving strongholds. Tyler committed the location of the nearest colony to memory. He would walk among his enemy, learn their secrets, and tear them down from within. But first, he had to become one of them. He pored over language databases and cultural archives, the months blurring together as he absorbed every scrap of knowledge the outpost could offer. When he finally departed for the colony, his ship's fabricator had transformed him. Synthetic skin obscured his features. Vocal implants altered his voice. He was no longer Tyler Scorer, but Zolar, humble trader from the outer reaches. The colony's spaceport teemed with haggard Andromedans, their faces lined with weariness. The soaring towers of Tyler's memory now slouched with neglect, the streets choked with debris. He wove through the crowds, listening to the hushed conversations, whispers of failing crops, of dwindling medicine, a colony on the brink of collapse. "Did you hear? The overseer's announcing new rations tomorrow." Tyler's translator decoded the words. He turned to see two Andromedans huddled beside a sputtering street lamp. "Niran's legacy may it endure. If anyone can lead us through these dark times, it's his descendant." Tyler's blood ran cold. Niran, the monster who had ordered the slaughter of billions. His progeny still ruled over this faltering empire. Rage simmered beneath Tyler's practiced smile. He would not rest until Niran's blood paid for the sins of his ancestors. Months passed as Tyler, under the guise of Zolar, immersed himself in the Andromedan colony's daily life. He wandered the streets, engaging in casual conversations with the locals, his translator implant seamlessly converting their words. The Andromedans spoke of their once thriving civilization, now teetering on the brink of collapse, their voices tinged with a mix of nostalgia and despair. In the bustling market square, Tyler overheard whispers of the colony's faltering energy reserves. The Andromedans huddled together, their faces etched with worry as they discussed the impending crisis. "The reactors are failing," a weathered Andromedan merchant confided to his companion. "Zoran's scientists can't seem to find a solution. If we don't find a new power source soon, the colony will crumble." Tyler's ears perked up at the mention of Zoran, the great-great-grandson of Naran. He had heard tales of the leader's desperate search for an answer to the energy problem, his advisors scouring the star system for any glimmer of hope. An idea began to take shape in Tyler's mind, a plan to strike at the heart of the Andromedan colony. He sought an audience with Zoran, posing as a humble trader with valuable information. In the grand hall of the colony's central spire, Tyler stood before Zoran, the leader's angular features cast in shadow. "I have heard whispers of your energy crisis, great Zoran," Tyler began, his voice laced with feigned reverence. "During my travels, I stumbled upon a derelict fleet of ancient vessels adrift in the void. I believe they may hold the key to your salvation." Zoran leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "What kind of vessels?" "Sleeper ships from a long-forgotten species called humans. Their technology was advanced, and I believe their power systems could be adapted to suit your needs." Zoran exchanged glances with his advisors, their murmurs filling the chamber. "And you can lead us to these ships?" Tyler bowed his head. "I would be honored to guide you, great Zoran. I only wish to see your colony thrive." Zoran nodded, his decision made. "Assemble a team. We will investigate these ships and salvage what we can." Days later, Tyler found himself aboard an Andromedan vessel, leading a team of scientists and engineers towards the coordinates of the human sleeper ships. As they docked with the derelict fleet, Tyler felt a surge of anticipation, his plan falling into place. The team fanned out through the ships, marveling at the ancient human technology. Tyler guided them deeper into the vessels, his movements deliberate, his purpose clear. In the heart of the largest ship, Tyler turned to face the Andromedans, his disguise melting away to reveal his true form. The team recoiled in shock, their faces contorting with a mixture of fear and confusion. "I am Tyler Scorer, last survivor of the human race," he declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Your ancestors slaughtered my people, and now I have come to demand justice." The Andromedans fumbled for their weapons, but Tyler was faster. He had planned for this moment, strategically positioning himself to overpower the team. The confrontation was brief but brutal, and soon the Andromedans lay unconscious at Tyler's feet. With his captives secured, Tyler commandeered their ship, setting a course for the heart of the Andromedan colony. As the vessel hurtled through space, he steeled himself for the confrontation to come. The colony's spaceport was in chaos as Tyler's ship descended, Andromedan guards scrambling to respond to the unexpected arrival. Tyler strode down the ramp, his captives bound and marched before him. In the central square, Tyler faced Zoran, the Andromedan leader's face contorted with rage. "Surrender the colony and face trial for the crimes of your ancestors," Tyler demanded, his voice carrying across the gathered crowd. "Or face the consequences." Zoran sneered, his eyes blazing with defiance. "The Andromedans were justified in our actions. Humanity's extinction was inevitable, a necessary step in our ascent to greatness. I will not submit to the demands of a relic from a dead species." As tensions reached a boiling point, a group of Andromedan rebels emerged from the shadows, their faces grim with determination. They approached Tyler, offering their support in overthrowing Zoran's tyrannical rule. The stage was set for a battle that would decide the fate of the Andromedan colony and the legacy of humanity's last survivor. Tyler's eyes locked with Kareem's as the Andromedan rebel leader laid out his plan. Kareem's face was etched with determination, his voice low and urgent as he spoke. "We've been gathering weapons, supplies, anything we can get our hands on, but it's not enough. Not against Zoran's forces." Tyler nodded, his mind racing. "What do you need from me?" Kareem leaned in closer. "There's an old Andromedan weapon, a relic from the war against your people, an energy cannon powerful enough to level cities. If we can get our hands on it, Zoran will have no choice but to surrender. Tyler's heart pounded in his chest. A weapon like that could change everything. Where is it? In a heavily guarded facility on the outskirts of the colony. But with your skills and our inside knowledge, we might have a chance. They spent the next few days planning, poring over schematics and guard rotations. Tyler trained with the rebels, honing their combat skills and teaching them human tactics. When the time came, they struck hard and fast. Tyler and Karim led the charge, a small but determined force against Zoran's elite guards. Blaster fire filled the air as they pushed forward, the smell of ozone and burnt flesh choking their lungs. They fought their way through the facility, room by room, corridor by corridor. Tyler's muscles burned with exertion, his reflexes tested to their limits. Beside him, Karim was a force of nature, his Andromedan physiology granting him speed and strength beyond any human. At last they reached the control room, the energy cannon looming before them. But as they approached, a figure stepped out from the shadows. "Did you really think it would be that easy?" Zoran sneered, his eyes glinting with malice. Tyler's grip tightened on his blaster. "It's over, Zoran. Surrender now and we can end this without any more bloodshed." Zoran laughed, a harsh grating sound. "Surrender? To a relic of a dead species and a handful of rebels? I think not." He turned to the control panel, his fingers flying over the keys. "I'll wipe you out, along with every last trace of resistance in this colony. And then I'll rebuild our empire, greater than ever before." The cannon hummed to life, energy crackling along its length. Tyler and Karim exchanged a desperate glance. "Now!" Tyler yelled, and they charged. Zoran's guards met them head-on, and the room dissolved into chaos. Tyler ducked and weaved, his blaster spitting fire as he fought his way towards the control panel. Beside him, Karim grappled with a guard, their limbs a blur of motion. Tyler reached the panel, his fingers scrabbling at the keys. Warning lights flashed, alarms blared. He could feel the cannon's energy building, the air crackling with ozone. With a final desperate effort, he slammed his fist into the control system, sparks flying. The cannon shuddered, its energy levels spiking dangerously. "It's going to blow," Tyler shouted. "We need to get out of here." They ran, racing through the facility, as the cannon's energy levels climbed higher and higher. Behind them, Zoran's enraged screams echoed off the walls. They burst out into the open air, the rebels close behind. Moments later, the cannon exploded, a blinding flash of light and a shockwave that knocked them off their feet. Tyler picked himself up, his ears ringing. Around him, the rebels stared in shock at the ruined remains of the facility, now little more than a smoking crater. Karim clapped him on the shoulder, his face streaked with sweat and grime. "We did it. Zoran's gone, and his regime with him." Tyler nodded, exhaustion and triumph warring in his chest. The battle was won, but he knew the war was far from over. There was still much work to be done, to rebuild and heal the scars left by the Andromedans' cruelty. But for now, they could savor this victory, hard-won and precious. Tyler stood among the ruins of the Andromedan colony, the acrid smell of smoke and burnt metal filling his nostrils. The survivors huddled together, their faces etched with shock and despair. Karim lay on a makeshift stretcher, his breathing shallow and labored. Tyler knelt beside him, clasping his hand. "You did it, my friend," Karim whispered, his voice barely audible over the crackling of the flames. "You've given us a chance to start anew." Tyler shook his head, tears stinging his eyes. "At what cost? Look at the destruction I've caused. I'm no better than the Andromedans who destroyed my people." Karim squeezed Tyler's hand, a faint smile on his lips. "You've broken the cycle, Tyler. You've shown us that there's another way. Promise me you'll lead them, guide them to a better future." With a final, shuddering breath, Karim's eyes closed, his hand going limp in Tyler's grasp. Tyler bowed his head, grief and guilt washing over him. In the days that followed, Tyler worked tirelessly to help the survivors rebuild. They salvaged what they could from the ruins, constructing makeshift shelters, and gathering what meager supplies remained. But even as they worked, Tyler could feel the weight of his actions bearing down on him. One evening, as he sat alone staring up at the unfamiliar stars, a thought struck him. He had been so consumed by his desire for revenge that he had forgotten his original mission, to find other human survivors and rebuild his own civilization. With a heavy heart, Tyler gathered the remaining rebels, entrusting them with the task of leading the colony into a new era of peace and cooperation. He bid them farewell, promising to return one day with news of other human survivors. As his ship lifted off from the planet's surface, Tyler felt a sense of purpose renewed. He would scour the galaxy, searching for any sign of human life, leaving behind the cycle of violence and retribution that had consumed him for so long. Years passed, and Tyler's search proved fruitless. He encountered many wonders and horrors in his travels, but no trace of his fellow humans. Just as he was about to give up hope, his sensors detected a faint signal, an echo of a familiar frequency. With trembling hands, Tyler input the coordinates, his heart racing as his ship drew closer to the source. There, drifting in the void, was a human sleeper ship, its hull battered but intact. As Tyler prepared to dock, he realized that he had a choice to make. He could wake the ship's occupants and risk perpetuating the cycle of revenge, or he could guide them towards a new path, one of understanding and cooperation. He recorded a message, pouring out his story and the lessons he had learned. He urged the future humans to forge a new way forward, to build bridges instead of walls, to seek peace instead of war. With a final resolute breath, Tyler sealed himself inside a cryopod, setting the ship's course for a distant, uninhabited system. As the pod's lid closed over him, he felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that he had done his part to give humanity a second chance. And so the ship drifted through the endless expanse of space, a silent testament to the resilience of the human spirit, carrying within it the hope for a better tomorrow. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.